The cold, fluorescent lights of Ravenhill Correctional Facility buzzed faintly, casting long shadows across the gray concrete walls. The night shift was quiet to quiet. Officer Daniel Cross, a man in his early 40s with sharp eyes and a stiff jawline, walked the dim corridor with a clipboard tucked under his arm. His boots echoed against the floor as he approached Cell Block D, the oldest wing of the prison. Most cells here were empty, sealed off after a violent riot years ago. Only one remained occupied, Cell 17. Inside sat Marcus Hawley, a convicted murderer, known for his chilling calmness and the unsettling smile he wore whenever he spoke. Daniel paused outside the bars. "You're awake again." Marcus looked up slowly, eyes gleaming in the dark. "Hard to sleep with all the whispers." Officer Cross. Daniel frowned. "What whispers?" Marcus tilted his head, pressing a hand to the wall. "Behind these walls? Behind this cell? You don't hear them. They talk at night. They laugh." Daniel shook his head. "You've been locked up for 15 years, Hawley. You'll say anything to mess with my head." Marcus leaned closer to the bars, voice dropping to a rasp. "Check the records. This cell wasn't supposed to be used again. There's a reason they sealed it. But they put me here anyway." For a moment, Daniel felt a chill creep up his spine. He brushed it off. "Go to sleep." But as he walked away, a faint whispering echo drifted down the corridor. Words he couldn't make out. His pulse quickened. The next night, Daniel returned with a flashlight. Curiosity tugged at him, though he wouldn't admit it. Marcus was sitting cross-legged on the floor, eyes fixed on the wall. When Daniel shone the light, Marcus didn't flinch. "You hear them too now, don't you?" Marcus whispered. Daniel clenched his jaw. "Enough of your games." "Not games," Marcus said, smiling faintly. "Listen!" Daniel killed the light. The corridor fell silent until faint voices crept in. Muffled, childlike, laughter mixed with low murmurs, like a conversation happening just beyond the concrete. Daniel's throat tightened. He snapped the flashlight back on. "There's an explanation. Pipes. Air vents." Marcus chuckled. "You can believe that. But do you know what this cell used to be?" Daniel didn't answer. Marcus leaned in. "This was where they kept the Ravenhill butcher. They never moved him. He died in here. Slit his wrists against the bars. They say his spirit stayed behind, whispering to anyone foolish enough to listen." Daniel's heart pounded, but he kept his voice steady. "Urban legends. That's all." Marcus' smile widened. "Then prove it. Open the wall. See what you find." Daniel scoffed. But later, in the guard's office, he searched the archives. To his unease, Marcus was telling the truth. Cell 17 had indeed housed a prisoner known as Elias the Butcher Ward, a sadistic killer who mutilated his victims. The report said he never confessed where he buried the remains. Daniel's hands trembled slightly as he closed the file. That night, the whispers grew louder. He thought he heard his name. By the fourth night, Daniel couldn't take it anymore. He returned to Cell 17 with a crowbar, his breath sharp in the icy air. Marcus grinned when he saw it. "I knew you'd come." "Shut up!" Daniel muttered. He pressed the crowbar against the crumbling section of the wall where the whispers seemed loudest. Sweat beaded his forehead as he pried at the bricks. With a harsh crack, the wall gave way. Dust and mold spilled out, filling the corridor with the stench of decay. Daniel gagged, covering his nose. Behind the wall was a hollow cavity barely big enough to crawl into. His flashlight beam revealed something that made his stomach twist. Bones. Dozens of them. Skulls stacked like trophies. Small, fragile bones that could only belong to children. Daniel stumbled back, his chest heaving. Marcus laughed quietly, a sound that sent shivers through the hall. The butcher never left his victims in the woods, like they said. He kept them close, kept them whispering. The voices surged, no moans. Cries, whispers, all at once. Daniel dropped the crowbar, his knees weak. Then he noticed something else. Fresh blood smeared across the bones. Impossible. Daniel whispered. The whispers rose to a deafening chorus, and suddenly, the flashlight flickered. In the brief strobe of light, Daniel saw a shadow crouched among the bones. A man. Eyes glinting, mouth stretched into a jagged grin. The beam steadied nothing was there. Only bones. Daniel's hands shook violently. Marcus pressed against the bars, whispering like a snake. He's still here, officer Cross. Watching. Waiting. And now that you opened the wall, the flashlight died. Darkness swallowed the corridor. Daniel's breath came fast. He fumbled with the switch, hearing footsteps slow, deliberate coming from inside the hollow space. Who's there? Daniel barked, voice cracking. A whisper answered. Daniel. The air turned icy. Something brushed past his arm. He staggered back. When the light snapped back on, Marcus was no longer in his cell. The bars were bent outward as if pulled by enormous strength. And on the floor, written in blood, were the words, "Another guard joins the collection." The prison went into lockdown. Dozens of guards searched cell block D, but Marcus Holley was gone, vanished without a trace. The warden demanded answers, but Daniel couldn't speak. His mind was shattered by the whispers, the bones, the shadow that called his name. They declared Marcus escaped. But Daniel knew better. He hadn't escaped, he'd been taken. That night, Daniel sat in the break room, staring at the security monitors. The camera feed for cell block D flickered with static. Then, for a moment, the picture cleared. Cell 17 appeared on screen. Marcus stood inside the hollow cavity, surrounded by bones. He was smiling, and beside him stood another figure tall, gaunt, with hollow eyes and a butcher's grin. The screen went black. Daniel dropped his coffee cup, hands trembling violently. Behind him, a whisper brushed his ear. Welcome to Ravenhill! The lights flickered. Fade to black.